Do you even know how to format a report properly, or is that too much for you? Those words sliced through Anita's pride like a blade. She froze for a second, her fingers hovering above the keyboard, lips pressed tight to stop them from trembling. Everyone in the office heard it. No one said a word. Anita was the only black girl in the entire firm, fresh out of university, hopeful, eager, and holding on to the dream her mother worked 3 jobs to fund. But from day one, she noticed it. The looks, the whispers, the way her suggestions were always too much, her voice too loud, her tone too aggressive. But what stung the most was that she never got angry. She smiled, she folded, she shrank herself every day, hoping she'd be seen as professional enough to fit in. She never was. Her manager, Claire, always found something wrong. Anita wore her natural hair proudly. HR gently suggested she try something more neat or polished. She brought lunch from home. Someone once asked loudly if it smelled weird. When she stayed late and finished a huge project, someone else presented it in the meeting and took full credit. That week, it happened again, worse than before. During the Monday team meeting, Anita watched as her own pitch deck, slides she had worked 3 nights on, was projected onto the screen. But it wasn't her name on the front. It was Daniel's. Claire stood beside him, beaming. "Wow, Daniel, this is top-level work. See, Anita? That's how we do things here." The room chuckled. A few eyes flicked toward Anita, but no one spoke. She sat still, blinking, swallowing, dying inside. Until one rainy Thursday, Claire humiliated her again, this time over an email thread. "Maybe this just isn't the right environment for someone like you." That was the sentence that broke her. That evening, Anita sat in a crowded bus, soaked in the smell of sweat and diesel, holding her resume tight to her chest. Her eyes burned, not from the rain, but from holding back tears all day. She wanted to quit, but something in her hardened. "You will never treat me like this again," she whispered to herself. And that was the beginning. Anita didn't quit the job. Not yet. She stayed another month. Quiet, observant. She learned their systems, noticed their gaps, studied their clients, took every humiliation and turned it into fuel. Then one Monday morning, without warning, Anita cleared her desk. No announcement, no goodbyes, just a quiet, firm resignation letter and a new path waiting. She disappeared. What they didn't know was that Anita had been secretly applying for scholarships, building skills, and networking like her life depended on it. What they didn't expect was who she would become. Claire barely glanced at her resignation email. She wasn't a good fit anyway, she muttered while sipping her oat milk latte. Around the office, there were quiet nods. No one asked where Anita went. No one missed her. But Anita hadn't just vanished. She was rebuilding herself, quietly, fiercely. She moved into a shared studio apartment on the other side of town. Tiny, no privacy, barely enough light, but it was hers. She took on freelance gigs, juggled 2 part-time jobs, and studied deep into the night. Code, finance, business ethics. She devoured everything she could find online, anything that made her sharper, stronger, more dangerous. And then came the call that changed everything. "Miss Walker, this is the admissions board at Winslow Business Academy. You've been selected for our full ride program." Anita dropped the phone. Literally. She had applied 3 times, rejected twice. This time, she didn't even think she had a shot. But she got in. From that moment, Anita disappeared from her old life completely. She walked into that business school not as the broken girl from HR, but as a woman on a mission. And she didn't stop there. She used the school's networking nights to connect with founders, joined startup hackathons, pitched bold ideas, and even landed a summer internship at a Fortune 500 company, where her work finally spoke for itself. No one there saw her as just the black girl. They saw a leader. Years passed, slowly, quietly, strategically. Anita built a name for herself, founded a tech consulting firm, one client at a time, one night of no sleep at a time. She hired women like her, overlooked, underpaid, underestimated, and gave them the chance no one ever gave her. Then one day her assistant, Riley, walked into her office holding a familiar file. "Hey, there's a new request for a merger consultation. The company name is Clearstone Partners. You want to pass?" Anita froze. Clearstone. That was her old office. Claire's company. The same firm that tossed her out without a second thought. She took the file. She didn't blink. "Schedule the meeting," she said coldly. "Tell them their new partner will see them next week." The conference room hadn't changed. Same beige walls, same cold lighting, same glass table where Anita once sat in silence, shrinking into herself as her manager took credit for her work. Now, she stood in front of it, tall, sharp, composed, and not alone. Her assistant, Riley, placed her laptop down beside her and whispered, "They're on their way up." Anita didn't flinch. Her tailored navy blue suit hugged her perfectly. Her natural curls were coiled into a sleek bun. Everything about her presence screamed what they never let her be before: powerful. The door opened. Claire walked in first. She paused, eyes widened, brows tightened. Behind her came Daniel, the same Daniel who had once laughed at Anita's ideas, then presented them like his own. His expression dropped like a curtain the moment he recognized her. Silence. Then Claire gave a stiff laugh. "Well, I'll be. Anita Walker. Look at you." Anita smiled politely. "Miss Walker will do. Please have a seat." They sat. Riley handed out the printed proposal folders. Anita began. "As you know, your company reached out for consultation on a potential merger. My firm has reviewed your numbers, growth forecasts, and liabilities. I've prepared a strategic plan that could save you millions." Claire tried to interrupt. "Listen, I didn't realize." Anita raised a hand gently but firmly. "This isn't personal. This is business. I suggest we keep it that way." Daniel coughed awkwardly. Claire nodded, lips pursed. The meeting continued. Anita led every second of it, confidently, clearly, without a hint of hesitation. Every question they asked, she answered without looking at notes. Every strategy they doubted, she backed with numbers. The same woman they once dismissed as not a good fit now made them feel like interns. When the pitch ended, Claire cleared her throat. We'd love to move forward. I mean, it's impressive work, truly." Anita leaned back, steepling her fingers. "I'll think about it. My firm is selective about who we align with. We protect our name and our people." A beat of silence. Then Anita stood, meeting over. Claire stood too, almost desperate. "Look, Anita, I know things weren't perfect back then, but people grow, right?" Anita's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. "You didn't just overlook me, Claire. You made me feel small for being who I am, for my voice, my skin, my presence. You wanted someone you could control. I became someone you can't." Claire's mouth opened, but no words came. Anita smiled. "Thanks for the motivation, though. I owe my entire success to your disrespect." And with that, she walked out, heels clicking like thunder against the tile floor. This time, no one laughed behind her back. They watched, silent, stunned. Anita didn't rush to respond. Claire's email started the next day, first polite, then pushy. "We're eager to move forward with your firm," she wrote. "You delivered impressive insights. Let us know the next step." Anita read the messages. She didn't reply. She wanted Claire to feel what she once felt: invisible, powerless, ignored. "I haven't seen you smile in days," Riley said one afternoon, glancing at her across their office space. "You okay?" Anita stared out the window, watching the city buzz beneath them. "You ever wonder why people like Claire only respect us when we come back bigger?" Riley sighed. "Because they never really saw us to begin with." Anita turned back to her screen. A fifth email had arrived. This time, it was different. "We just received news that a major investor is pulling out. Please, we really need this. Can you help us?" Now she knew. They weren't just desperate for her expertise. They were crumbling. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, but something held her back. Memories flooded her crying in the bus, those nights skipping dinner to study, the sting of being called not a fit. They didn't just break her confidence, they tried to erase her completely. And now they wanted her to save them. She didn't need their apology. She needed peace. Later that night, Anita sat in her tiny living room, surrounded by framed photographs. Her mother's smile, her college graduation, her company's launch party. She picked up her phone. It was time to respond. "Claire, I appreciate your interest in working with my firm. However, I've decided to decline the partnership. My values no longer align with Clearstone's leadership culture. I wish you the best moving forward." She read it twice. Hit send. Done. Riley gasped when she heard the news. "You turned them down?" Anita nodded. "I didn't build my company to fix the very people who broke me. Let someone else clean up their mess." The next day, Claire's final email came in. Short. Understood. No thank you. No apology. No accountability. And that was fine, because Anita had already won. She didn't need to walk back into that office again. She didn't need a seat at their table. She built her own, and people noticed. Soon after, Anita was invited to speak on a panel about women in leadership. Her talk went viral, from ignored to empowered, my journey as a black woman in tech. The world started listening, and the firm that once tried to bury her, it quietly dissolved within a year. Nobody even remembered Claire's name. But Anita's was just getting started. It had been 5 years since Anita walked the streets of her old neighborhood in South Chicago. The sidewalks were still cracked. The corner bodega still blasted 90s R&B. The same old men sat on overturned milk crates talking about the Bulls like it was 1996. Everything looked the same. But Anita, she was unrecognizable. She stepped out of a sleek black Tesla in a cream pantsuit, heels clicking softly on the pavement. Her curls were defined, her presence magnetic. Heads turned. Yo, is that Anita Walker? Wait, that quiet girl who used to work at the CVS? No way, that can't be her. But it was. The same girl who once got passed over for a manager position because she was too soft-spoken. The same girl who used to rehearse mock interviews in her bathroom mirror, only to get ghosted after every callback. Now, she had her own firm. And she was back. Her first stop wasn't a high school speech or a media tour. It was her mother's old duplex on Maplewood Avenue. The screen door squeaked just like it used to as her mom opened it, blinking fast as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. My baby, she whispered. Is that really you? Anita smiled and stepped forward. I told you I'd come back, Mom, on my own terms. Inside the house, the worn family photos still lined the hallway. One of Anita at 17, wearing a second-hand blazer for her first job interview. One of her mother working overtime at the diner. That hallway held more prayers than paint. By noon, word had spread. A small crowd began to gather outside. Old classmates, neighbors, even Mr. Lenny, the bitter landlord who once told Anita to aim lower. He waved at her now like they were old friends. But one face stood out in the crowd, Ms. Daniels, Anita's high school guidance counselor. The woman who once said, college might be a bit much for you, sweetie. Maybe look into trade school instead. She approached with a plastic smile. Well, look who made it big. I always knew you had potential. Anita kept her smile tight. Did you? Before Ms. Daniels could reply, a gentle voice called out from behind. Mrs. Green, Anita's 10th grade English teacher, the only adult who ever told her, you don't need to talk louder, just keep saying things worth hearing. Anita hugged her like family, then reached into her bag and handed her a gold envelope. What's this? Mrs. Green asked. A letter, Anita replied. To let you know I started a scholarship in your name. For quiet girls, black girls, overlooked girls, girls like me. Tears welled in Mrs. Green's eyes. Anita held her hand and said softly, you saw me when no one else did. Now it's my turn. And just like that, Anita didn't just return to her community. She rewrote her place in it. It was a quiet Friday afternoon when Anita saw it. An email, subject line, from Claire Monroe. She stared at it for a long moment. Her office was quiet, just the soft hum of her air purifier and the click of Riley's keyboard down the hall. The name on the screen made her stomach twist, but not from fear. From power. She clicked it open. Hi, Anita. I'm sure this message is the last thing you ever expected. I've been following your journey, and wow, you've built something incredible. I know I wasn't kind. I know I was unfair. And if I'm being honest, I didn't understand how much harm I caused until I started losing everything. Clearstone shut down last month. Investors pulled out, staff left. I guess the culture I created couldn't hold up. I'm reaching out not to ask for anything, just to say I'm sorry, genuinely. You didn't deserve the way I treated you. If you're ever open to it, I'd love to talk. Maybe even grab coffee sometime. Claire Anita sat back in her chair. The woman who once made her feel invisible was now reaching out like a ghost from a past she had buried. She stared out her office window, watching the skyline stretch across the horizon. So many memories fought for space in her mind. Late buses, whispered HR warnings, cold meetings where her voice was silenced. She took a deep breath, then began to type. Hi, Claire. Thank you for your message. I appreciate the apology. It means something that you took the time to reflect and to own your part. That being said, I've moved on, and I'm not interested in reconnecting or reliving that chapter of my life. I built something new, something rooted in equity, kindness, and truth. I wish you peace as you begin again. Anita Walker. She hit send, not because she needed revenge, but because she no longer needed validation. An hour later, Anita joined her team in the conference room. They were finalizing a partnership with a nonprofit aimed at mentoring young black women in corporate America. Anita stood at the head of the table, not just as a boss, but as a force. And before she closed the meeting, she paused and said, "Never let someone else's small mind shrink your big dreams. If they can't see your worth, build a table where people do." Applause filled the room. Later that evening, Anita stood on a TEDx stage in front of a glowing red circle. She looked out at a packed audience, and she began. "Once upon a time, I was the black girl everyone ignored at work, but I turned their silence into my strength." The crowd leaned in, and Anita smiled, because the girl they treated like trash had become a voice the world couldn't stop listening to. If this story moved you, let me know in the comments. What would you have done if you were Anita? Would you have forgiven Claire or walked away just like she did? Drop your thoughts below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss another inspiring episode like this. Share it with someone who needs a reminder. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Thanks for watching.